Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to see two more concepts in our indexer. So let's say you want to reset your index, and this is a required thing in cognitive search index. If you change your index field name in your schema, you will have to reset your index. Now in our last lecture, we created our timestamp field with name TS, but in our Cosmos DB collection, we have this field as underscore TS. And that's why when we indexed our data and search for any item, the value of TS was null because there was no field mapped from Cosmos DB to our index. So in this case, we are going to reset our index because we want all our data to be re-indexed. But before that, I'm going to make small change over data source. Instead of running select star from C, I want to remap my underscore TS field to TS. So I'm going to change it to, so I have to pick up all the fields here. So I'm going to type C dot, let's pick it up from here. We have record ID. Then we have C dot fields. We had record timestamp and also the ID. And now we want to pick C dot underscore TS as timestamp. So we are remapping our underscore TS as TS column. I'm going to save my data source. I can go back to my indexes. Now let's say I want to empty my index, all the data. So I can just do a reset. So our Cosmos DB string seem to have corrupted in our data source. So this is a bug in our cognitive search service. So when you change your data source, sometimes you have to reselect the string. You can just simply go back to your data source and select the string once again, and your key will again be copied here. Just select your collection, database, save it again. Let's go back to our indexer and reset it now. And this time our index has been reset. Resetting the index is that easy, and I can run it once again. So it will start our indexing from scratch, overwrite all the data. It's in progress. You can keep refreshing it, and all our rows have been indexed. Let's go back and see if we have our timestamp details populated this time. Sorry, I need to go to indexes. I'm going to search 711, and this time we have our timestamp populated here. Now what if I update one of the items here and want my indexer to just re-index that updated item? So in Cosmos DB, when you update an item, let's say right now the timestamp is ending with 7287. If I update this item to, let's say 1209, so this timestamp will change. So the timestamp has changed to the latest timestamp. Now I want my indexer to just pick up this data when I run it the next time, right? So what I need to do is enable incremental indexing. So I'll go back to my data source, and I'm going to just delete my data source here, we're going to recreate it. Now let's add the data source once again. I'm going to choose Azure Cosmos DB. Let's get the same name. Our connection string will be DGG Cosmos DB service, same database, and our property collection. Now this time I'm going to select all my records as before, but also my underscore timestamp from Cosmos DB, from collection, and also add a condition to just pick up the latest updated records and not all the data, right? So the condition will be that our timestamp c._ts should be greater than or equal to a high watermark property, high watermark. Now this property is maintained and tracked internally by your cognitive search index. So every time we run our indexer, the highest timestamp or the latest timestamp will be registered internally as high watermark, and when we run the indexer once again the next time, only the new updated items with _ts value higher than high watermark will be indexed. Now I also want to order this by our timestamp, so latest timestamp will be at the top, right? So now with this property enabled, the first time we run the index, all the items will be indexed, but when we run the index the next time, only the updated items should be picked. I'm going to save it. Okay, our indexer seems to be giving some issues, so I'm just going to name it property instead of property.ts, and also we need to add another prop. Okay, let's save it first. Let's go to data source definition, and here I'm going to add change detection policy, which tracks high watermark column _ts. If you go to index data for Azure Cosmos DB using SQL API document, you can find this URL in your resources attachment section. Just scroll down, and if you want to enable incremental indexing in your data source, you need to define this property as well. So in our indexer, let's go to property. I will have to delete this indexer and recreate. You can use the same name. The index is property, data source name is now property as well. We still do not have any skill set, and let's save it. So we have property name _ts specified more than once in query. Let's check our data source once again. Let's check our query. So we have c._ts defined twice, which is causing an issue. Let me remove it from here. But we also want c._ts to be available as ts column for our indexer. Let's choose our database connection string once again to avoid that error, the corruption error. Let's save it. Okay, our data source is ready. Let's save it. And our indexer should have run. So when it runs the first time, it should pick up all the data. So you can see that all the data has been picked up. But now if I update an item in my Cosmos. Let's see the one with ID ending with BD34. I'm going to copy it. We can search it later on in our portal and update it. So the timestamp has changed, and when I run the indexer next time, it should pick just one item. So our indexer has run, and here you can see only one document was selected. Now if I go back to my index and just search for that ID, we should see the updated data. There we go. Now if I update it once again, update the timestamp. Let me just copy it once again for searching it later on. Go to indexer and run it. So we are on free tier, so it asks for us to wait for 180 seconds to run indexer on demand. But when we run it again, we should see just one document to get updated. So this way we will save a lot of resources of not re-indexing all the data from your data source again and again. We are only picking up the updated data items. Now you can schedule this indexer to run every hour or daily or monthly according to your needs, and it will keep on indexing the latest data. And if I go back to my index and search for the document, we should see updated house number. There we go. So we have successfully set up our incremental update for our index, and also saw how we can reset our index if required. That's all for this lecture, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.